Hey guys, this is Focus Space's training video on paint setup and spraying your exterior of your buildings. So if you want to come on over here and take a look, this is our sprayer that we use. They're all fairly similar, but the setup and cleanup is very important. So there's a few things that you need to really check when you're getting things set up to start. This is obviously your paint line, so this is where your paint is running through. There is no air in this system. It's an airless sprayer, which is a lot less work, a lot less to dial in, so it's really nice, pretty user-friendly. So basically, what we're gonna do to start things up, you got a bucket here with your paint. This is our exterior paint color here, and then we've got a bucket here for clean out that I call, and this will be very important to have this handy, so you need two buckets at all times to do this process. So basically what we got going on, paint's getting sucked up through this hose, and it's coming through the line into your nozzle here. And then this line here is basically a clean out line. This is how you prime the line as well as clean out your system at the end. So this little knob here, you got a power switch here, so you're gonna plug things in, turn things on. Once you've got your buckets in place, painting your bucket, this line is going to be, or this valve here switches from, currently our paint is running out this way through this line, and if we switch it down, paint is going to run out of our clean out line. So you can come over here, Wesley, and see when that happens. Basically, when you start the machine up, you're going to set it to the start mode here. It's going to basically be a pretty low pressure to get started paint priming through the system. You're going to turn it to the clean out line until you see paint, watch this, coming out. So we have paint going through the system, which means we know paint is running through the machine. And then after that, you're going to switch it back to your line going through your main line until you see paint come out of your nozzle. So once you've got it set up, I like to just keep my nozzle. You're going to have either water or air in your line before the paint gets through it. It'll take a while. It takes about 30 to 45 seconds for paint to come all the way through this line and get out your nozzle. So you're basically just going to hold this in your bucket until you start to see color of the paint coming through. So there we go. I know I've got paint clearly coming out now, so you can see it on the side there. That is solid paint, no water in there anymore. So when you first start, you're going to see water coming out, or even air kind of puffing through there, and that's normal. But yeah, now that we're set up, we've got our paint coming out of our nozzle. All right, last thing here, guys. So right before we start to paint, we've currently got this the dial on start mode, and as you can see, you've got start. And then if you spin, this is basically just increasing your pressure. You can find where you want to be. This is maxed out. I usually take it a little bit, so about 3/4 of the way up. You won't go through as much paint and throw paint on the wall as quickly that way, and it's easier to keep an eye on your consistency. If you have it maxed out, it's easy to overspray, and then you're gonna have drips. So about 3/4 of the way dialed up on that dial is what you want to see. And again, you can play around with your settings, figure out what works for you, what works for your siding. And yeah, let's get on the wall here and I'll show you guys a few techniques of getting this sprayer rolling. So hopefully you can still hear me. I'll try to talk louder. But a few things to keep in mind when you're setting up the sprayer. You want your tip to be these two prongs on the sides. That's going to give you a vertical spray. If they're spun 90 degrees, then you're going to have a horizontal spray. And I always like to work, especially with hardy board, from side to side like this. So if you come over here, we'll just do a little quick pass. We're going to start and just paint this board here, and I'm just going to show you a few things to keep in mind. So it does take getting used to how much paint comes out of the sprayer. So it's going to take you to some practice before you're really dialed in and confident in each one. But what I like to do for any wall really is I like to hit my corners first, and then I'm going to come back and hit my horizontals. So this time for corners, we're going to be painting this trim a different color later. If we were painting all this the same, then I could hit the trim as well at the same time. But right now I'm just focusing on hitting the seam of caulk all the way up this side here, and then the actual hardy itself. So to start things off, I like to be anywhere from 6 to 10 inches away from the wall, depending on how windy it is. If it's windier, get a little closer to your material. If it's a calm day like today, it's pretty mild. You can be a little farther away, and that gives you a little more finesse and easier to see your lines. So we're going to do that. You're going to just squeeze your trigger all the way down. There's no partial trigger movement on this one. It's just all or nothing. So
I always like to start a little below where I want to be, start spraying, work up. Try to stay as consistent away from the wall as far as your spacing as you can. So you don't want to be sweeping like this. You want your whole arm to be moving the same distance up each stroke. So I see people spraying like this sometimes, and you're going to get completely uneven patterns if you do that. So when I'm spraying along the horizontal seam, you want to move your body, move your arms to where you need to be. I also like to keep one hand on my lines, kind of keep some control of them, and then the other hand obviously is on the sprayer. So I'm just going to do this first seam here. You can see what it looks like. So there we go, there's the first pass. Again, we're not trying to get tons of paint on this first time because we are going to do 2 coats. But as you can see, I'm not trying to spray a ton of paint onto the trim because again, that's getting painted later. So we're just focusing on the corner and focusing on keeping an even spray. So that's pretty consistent as you can see. You can see how we don't have a hard line here. It's a nice feathered line of spray that kind of fades out, and that's what you want to see. If you see any weird hard ridges or lines like that, that could mean your nozzle's clogged, or that could mean your pressure is too high. So this is a chance to play around with your settings. If you haven't painted before and haven't done a lot of this, use a piece of cardboard or a scrap piece of plywood to practice and get the feel of what you want to be. So we're going to move to our horizontal here. So I like to try to get about the same level as each hardy board as I'm painting them. So for these lower ones, I like to get down low because a lot of times people will miss under the lip, and that's really important because people are going to see that. Maybe not from this angle, but if someone's down low, they'll see if you missed anything. So get low. Here we go. We're going to keep consistent across. Boom, just like that. And again, when I'm moving across hardy, I like to do 1 row, come back, switch the other direction, switch the other direction, and that just is more efficient that way rather than starting, stopping, starting, stopping. So you can kind of keep rolling that way up your piece you're working on. So I'll do a couple more so you can see what I mean about that switch. So just like that, and it goes on really quick. So this is the benefit to a sprayer versus a rolling system. You're getting paint on. We can do this whole building in about an hour. So that's it for getting paint on the walls. We will go over interior spraying in the next video.